In episode number 2 of the Jeremiah Rangel podcast, I have the honor to sit down and talk with a gentleman by the name of Tony Simpson. He is a divine guidance life coach. Everything is divinely infused with his coaching and everything that he does. He's a TikTok influencer. He's a free diver in the ocean, catches his food in the ocean. And he has a very unique relationship with his mother. We get really deep into this conversation where one batch of chocolate chip cookies that had E. coli in it completely changed the course of his life. It's a very touching story. He's a man of many talents, and everything that he's been through led to his relationship with the divine presence. And today, he just wants to help people. He just wants to give back and share what was given to him. This is a very deep one. This is a very emotional one, and it's very liberating. So just sit back, open up your hearts. Let's get right into it.
Where in Texas are you living?
We are in East Texas. So Texas is like I don't know, interesting shape. But we're 45 minutes away from the Louisiana border.
Okay.
And maybe like 2 hours from the ocean. Something like that, 2.5. So yeah, we're in what's called the Piney Woods. So it's just basically it's known for like a lot of pine trees. A lot of people do like logging around here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just beautiful. I think we have like over 10,000 trees on our property, and it's just pretty magical. It's interesting because I find like that studying people and learning, people are generally like, which everybody can, if we go after it, but if we had our way, like as a human beings, we either want to be like tree people, be around trees, maybe more lake people, maybe ocean people, mountain people. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are desert people. But those are kind of like some of the main things, people that they want to be around different things. So we're tree people and water people too. We're kind of river people. So we have a river 20 or maybe 50 feet from our back door. And it's just super beautiful and super peaceful. We live in a place where people go to vacation.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And people come and stay at one of our places, but people come here, and it's just even from, so we're like not half hour from civilization, but so we're in the country, right? So we live in the country, but people around here in the country say, "Oh, you're country," which means there's a lot of people around here, which is great. That's exactly what we looked for. So we're country people. We might not look like it, but we act like it when we're not on camera. But no, it's great. It's I love Texas. Like there's a saying in Texas, like, I wasn't born in Texas, but I came here as quickly as I could. And it's just really interesting. But I love it. I love the freedom. I love, the people, like the lifestyle. It's just like when we were younger growing up in Minnesota, there's a big fantasy of a lot of people is like get a boat, get a cabin, things like that. And we have no desire to get a cabin anymore because we basically what our property is, like right on a lake and right off a river, actually.
Yeah, you almost have everything that you were looking for.
Well, I think we 100% do, because it was in 20. So every year we do a wealth and spiritual retreat, which I, hand select the top students and top clients to either a place in our property or we rent out. Depends how big we want to go, but we rented out really beautiful places before and had 75 people. And it's just a reevaluation. A lot of people with New Year's, they just kind of say, here's my goals. And then it kind of like tapers off, whether it's a health goal or financial. And for us, it's just, this is our life's purpose. And we do this all the time. And so we actually get really like strategic and calculated, do assessments and upgrades. And then we actually maintain it and check in throughout the year. And in 2020, when in Minneapolis, where all the riots happened a mile away from our business, the whole riot started in the United States. During that year was a mile away from our business. And we did our 2021 New Year's retreat. So it was like, it's over New Year's. So it starts in December 31st or whatever and goes to the 1st or 2nd. and we wrote exactly like what we want. We wanted to, have a certain amount of acreage, want to be right off of a river, want to have our own like water source, we want like solar. Um, Everything we wrote down, like we got multiple houses, and
Hmm.
it's pretty cool. I mean, it's yeah, there's just that saying that people make plan and God laughs sometimes, and sometimes things really, really work out. Yeah, when you ask for things.
Yeah, I think the more descriptive, um, the more likely it's going to happen too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. That's
yeah.
huge. You know,
Thank you. We love it. We
yeah,
do. Go ahead.
just like you were saying, tree people or lake people, mountain people. I'm an ocean guy. You know,
Yeah,
I live in Las Vegas in the desert, but my heart belongs to the ocean. My wife, she's a tree person. And
yeah,
so finding that balance that aligns with, I guess, being surrounded by, the people and the type of perception we value. We were actually looking at Texas as well. We were looking down at Corpus Christi for a little
okay,
bit. You know, we don't. I've never been there. Just kind of searching and figuring out where might work for us. But so Washington, we were looking at Washington too. But the water's so cold up there. I love to dive. I love to be in the water, and yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So. With Texas is beautiful. It's big, and there's a lot of different environments in Texas. You have the desert, you have the trees, you have the ocean. So
yeah.
yeah.
We're a quick drive to the ocean. It's just pretty cool. But it's like, what kind of oceans like do you prefer, right? Like what is it? The East Coast. My brother lives in New York, and the oceans are just, I don't know. It's darker, dirtier in California. It's just pretty
Hmm.
pretty beautiful. What kind of oceans do you like?
So I like clear water because I do like to see. Um, I lived in South Carolina in Charleston for 2 years. We
Mm,
moved here. We moved back here about a year ago, and out there, it was beautiful. It was nice. Except the water, because it's a low country and it's not swampy but kind of, the
mm,
water becomes super murky until you go 10, 15, 20 miles offshore, and then it starts clearing up. But I grew up going to California all the time, so the sense of like the ocean smell in California, the aesthetics of the ocean, the bigger waves, I'm kind of drawn to California. But I enjoy my freedom, and I don't particularly like a lot of traffic and a lot of chaos. Um,
yeah.
but there's parts in California. I'd love to live in Dana Point. Dana Point,
Mm.
gorgeous. Yeah. So just
Did you
constantly
grow up?
go out there and visualize, right?
Yeah. Did you grow up surfing?
No, that's one thing that I'm surprised I haven't picked up over the years. Because usually when I go to the beach, I'm like, okay, time to fish or dive, So it's just prioritizing learning how to surf.
Yeah,
I think I'd enjoy it.
it's pretty cool. So tell me more about diving. Is it so you do scuba diving?
Free diving, so
Free
all
diving.
holding your breath. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
how'd you get into that?
So I have a twin brother, and my twin brother and I, we grew up fishing. Out here in the desert, believe it or not. My mom would take my brother and I to the lake. We'd fish, and she'd lay there and tan. And she ended up getting sick and passing away. And it just kind of, I guess, became embedded into us a little bit deeper than just a hobby, more of a connection with my mom. And
Yeah,
so we started fishing, and somehow I don't even know how we got introduced to spear fishing, but we got these small little, like, not very good spear fishing guns, and we went out to the lake and spearfished. And then from there, it just started leveling up. I really invested a lot of time into the sport when I moved to South Carolina. So that's when I started getting connected with other people that spearfish in the ocean. And then I started going 30, 40, 50 miles offshore, spearfishing for mahi and
Whoa.
diving 60, 70, 80 feet. And then during this process, I was also going through this huge awakening time, a transformation to reprogram myself from limiting beliefs, traumatic experiences. And a lot of what I did was meditation and mindfulness. And that was the path that I chose. And spearfishing or freediving is very similar to that. You have to be able to relax yourself. You have to be able to relax the muscles and be in a very, very safe, calm place in a chaotic environment. And it just aligned, kind of transitioned from one to the other. And so it became a sanctuary. It became a place of growth and a place of connecting to the source of food and energy I was consuming as well. So, yeah. So now
Do you,
that's what I do.
do you prepare, like, do you do any, have you heard of Wim Hof?
Mm-hmm. I
Do
have.
you do any like Wim Hof style breathing to get, because I've tried that a little bit, and like if I'm gonna do something like that at home, I mean, I don't know, I would go to an expert, but try to hold my breath. I tried, Wim Hof, things like that, and that kind of really works. But what kind of preparation do you do to be able to build up your endurance?
In the beginning, I did do that, and it can be very dangerous. And the reason is when you're free diving, your body isn't recognizing that it needs more oxygen. It's recognizing that there's a lot of what is it, carbon dioxide in your system, or
Hmm.
is that what it is? Yeah, carbon dioxide. And so if you hyperventilate or do the fast breathing, the Wim Hof breathing, basically your body doesn't have a whole lot of carbon dioxide in its system. And so it
Mm,
doesn't know when to say like, okay, time for you to get a breath. So you can hold your breath longer, but that's how blackouts happen. So as you're
yeah,
coming up, if you've ever seen spear fishermen blackouts, they'll come up and everything's fine. And then they just like kind of convulse a little bit and they black
yeah.
out 10, 15 feet underneath the water. Um, and so I try to stay away from that. I try to be as safe as possible. Um, Basically, just losing myself in the environment. Um,
Mm.
but I have different breathing techniques that I do to be able to do that. Yeah.
I would assume, because it's so the Wim Hof is, from my understanding, obviously, and what we're talking about is best to do on land, in air, in a controlled environment, kind of a thing. But if you add different pressure within the ocean, right? Because it's like with each, I don't know much about scuba diving, but every league is it like 33 feet, something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, it
Every,
doubles an atmosphere pressure.
yep. And
Mhm.
so even if you don't go, 33, I mean, coming close to that, either way, the closer you get to the 33, it's not like there's nothing and all of a sudden there's something. The pressure increases as you go down, right? But it's just, I would imagine it's almost like as you come up, your body needs oxygen. It's almost like getting like choked out in jujitsu, where the blood takes out from the carotid artery, and that pressure like stops that blood flow, and that's where that blackout happens. Because that's what I've seen people get choked out,
Mhm.
choke people out before, and I've also seen those videos too where they kind of convulse a little bit. It looks very similar.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not exactly sure. I've never blacked out. I hope to never black
Yeah.
out. I've never, uh, for the most part, I've never come close. When I was doing my personal best dive was like 73 feet, something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, coming up, my fin broke, and I was so it makes it harder to come up. And I was just reminding myself to be centered. But yeah, I was gasping for air when I came up from that one. But some people can dive 150 feet and hold bottom, and it's crazy. I don't. I mean, they dedicate their life to it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Do you do, because I see some of the videos, do you do, is it you just dive with fins? Because sometimes people have that rope that they pull themselves
okay.
down.
Yeah. So the rope, yeah, the rope is mainly just free diving. So the difference between spearfishing, free dive, we're called spearos. The difference between spearos and a free diver is that spearos dive multiple times throughout the day. So, and let's say I'm diving for 4 hours, I may make a dive every um, 3 to 5 minutes. So, in that time frame, I'm diving 40, 50, 60 times. For a free diver, they prepare themselves to dive once.
Whoa.
And so they're going for depth. We're going to hunt to feed our family. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And so that's where different breathing techniques come into play. They can have a lot more time in between, I guess, in between their dives, right? They have a day, or maybe they do 2 dives in a day. Whereas we dive, we come up, and now after expending a lot of oxygen and energy, we're having to shift ourselves and gain control of our breathing and, really relax and shift down. And then we want to get back down there, but you have to submit to the urge and really be patient with yourself so that you give yourself time to recover. But it's hard to do, it's,
Yeah.
yeah. Now I want to go dive.
I know,
Yeah.
talking about it. I
Yeah.
love that. I don't know what it's called, like the edge of something, the edge of nervous system comfortability, but there's that edge, and I find that in jujitsu, and holding my breath, things like that. When I was little, I have a friend who we used to. I don't know why or how we came up with it, but we were third grade, and if you can imagine, like, okay, there's a sleeping bag, right, and you put your head where your feet are
Okay.
normally, so your feet are sticking out, and then we would set it up real quick, but then we would get out, as fast as we could. So you put your head where your feet are, and then you put another sleeping bag that zips over that. So it's stacked like this. So
Hmm.
the head is where the feet is, and then you put one over it, and then you put another one over it. So there's 3 sleeping bags. And then we said, ready, go, and kind of shake. Whoever is like helping is usually 2 people are on the outside, and you shake. So we were little, we were third grade. So then we would have to turn our bodies around and then go out. Like now you're facing normal, you gotta go up and over the other one, and then you gotta go up and to freedom.
Yeah.
And I don't know what percentage of the time, 50% of the time we did it, and percent of the time we would like freak out and like because for whatever reason. And that feeling of just like kind of panic and then get me out, and then you got to zip it real quick, like however many we made it through. But I not that I'm gonna go back to doing that, but like we can you can hold breath, and especially with water, that I feel like it amplifies things. And if you can do it correctly, there's a spirit. You have to go to the spiritual realm to connect, and it's actually interesting because it's kind of self hypnosis too. It's like in me being a hypnotherapy trainer and certified people, been doing it for decades. um, Hypnosis, like a lot of it, it's kind of a lot of people have feeling is going underwater, but it's almost like you can breathe. And so tell me more about, you said you had to kind of connect to the spiritual realm, or you kind of go deep within yourself. Like, tell me, can you describe what that experience is like?
It's a sense of submitting, um, and not just one time, but consistently. The more you submit and almost take your hands off the wheel, the controls, it's building a relationship and bringing awareness um, with the true self, or with my true self, and with almost the effects of life, of experiences, of traumatic experiences, good, bad. Um, yeah, that's probably the easiest and shortest description I can I can say. But it's exactly like what you were talking about with the sleeping bags. Um, and it correlates to so much in life, in my life, of like you have this opportunity, this chance to panic and freak out, and it, for the most part, it only hurts you or
Mhm.
prolongs your pain, or the distance between who you think you are and who you truly are. Or you can submit and have the courage and slow down and relax, and by submitting and taking your hands off the wheel, you almost gain more control. Um, and then you start navigating out of that first sleeping bag, and you realize that you're in a second one. And then you
Yeah.
navigate out of that one and you submit again, and you realize you're in the third one. And you just keep submitting and keep reminding yourself that, you're here for growth, or here to totally relax if you're in the water. And then eventually you get out, and it's an enlightenment moment. You wake up a different person, you come out of the water a different person. um, I believe it's more aligned with our true self, and almost shedding old limiting beliefs, or old you know experiences that we need to learn from.
So
So
from my what I'm hearing from you, and you correct me if I'm incorrect, is that so we have or you have these, let's just say, traumatic experiences in life, and then it creates like limitation and boundaries on you or on people, right? And by doing this physical exercise, that is like it's stretching yourself, which is maybe more of the programming or more of the ego or more of the mind, and you get to go beyond that through this physical exercise. But the only way is through surrender or submitting. And when you
hmm
do that, you gain access to this second gear, third gear, fourth gear, higher power, total self, right? Like higher self, however you want to frame it. And there's just like this extra power that comes, but it goes basically going beyond the mind and beyond the current limitations. Does that sound pretty accurate?
absolutely, yeah. It's different to do it at home versus diving. There's When I do it at home, it's to upgrade my life and upgrade myself. When I do it for diving, it's almost connecting to a world that most never get the opportunity to connect with underwater. And so sometimes when I'm down there, I'm so in the moment and so relaxed that I can see the scales on the fish. I
Oh,
noticed that, I'm laying on the bottom, and there's fish that I could harvest, and I just, like, I'm not even really hunting anymore. I'm just being one. You can feel the power of the ocean. Um, in California, we do a lot of diving too, and so the kelp forests, it's almost like truly experiencing life, learning to truly experience life, instead of always be focused on the past or focused on the future or worrying about survival. Um, Diving for me is when I'm down there, I'm 100% in the moment. I'm not thinking about anything else except for the now. And that's where I find the most happiness. So maybe we need to get you diving, huh?
I, I would love it. I
You're up
love
for it? Yeah.
anything that can help my consciousness. Anything that help me go deeper, anything that can break through. And but I've done enough of a lot of different things to know that it's a conditioning thing, and it's like learning. Like there's a technical thing. Like the mind has to learn, the body has to learn. But I would absolutely love to. We'll do maybe a foreign exchange student thing. You come here, I'll show you around in Texas, and then I'll come there. You show me around some really cool things and some ocean.
Yeah.
Love to do that. Well, walk me through how does that. So, what kind of gear do you have? You have fins. Is it like a minimalist thing, just like just shorts, or is it sneakers? Like what kind of thing? What do you wear?
So, yeah, that's a great question. So it all depends on the temperature of the water.
Mm,
So Florida, I can get away with a 1 millimeter wetsuit top that's basically like a rash guard,
Mm-hmm.
and board shorts. Um, but in California in the winter, or the river out here in the winter, we have to have 7 millimeter wetsuits because it's freezing.
Yeah.
So we have the wetsuit, and then we have a dive belt. So depending on how thick the wetsuit is, it creates more buoyancy.
Mm.
And so we adjust that with a dive belt. We have a belt, and then we put different weights on it, to where when we go down, we can hold bottom. We don't float up. And then we have longer fins. So not your typical scuba fins that are short. Our fins are a lot longer. They help with um, swimming through the water easier. And snorkel mask, gloves, um, especially in the ocean or after you harvest a fish. They have spines, or the gills sometimes are sharp. I have a knife on the inside of my leg by my calf. So that's how in case I ever get into a dangerous situation on the bottom, I can cut myself out, or that's how I dispatch um, the fish as quickly as possible. Um, what else? I keep on my weight belt. I keep a stringer. So sometimes if I'm using like a pole spear, do you know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I'm using a pole spear, sometimes I can get 2 or 3 fish on a single dive. So I go down, I load it, let go. It has basically a rubber band on it, and it hits a fish, and I can take that fish, put it on the stringer, and
Mm-hmm.
then I load again and harvest another fish. In the ocean, I like to keep the fish on me, which is kind of counterintuitive to what a lot of people would suggest because of sharks. But sharks are um, more curious creatures, and so as long as you remain calm, um, they'll see you and then um, swim away. Um, but I keep surgical scissors on there in case I need to cut some fins off, so it's not poking me. The fish aren't poking me while I'm swimming. And then after that, we have what's called a float line and a float. So the float has a little flag on it, or my brother and I actually just got jet skis a month and a half ago. So we put our flag up there, and then our float line is connected to the float or the flag. And depending on what type of gun I'm using or pole spear, it's connected to the back of that. So um, if I dive down, a lot of times I'm swimming with my brother, diving with my brother, and he'll go down, and past a certain point, the visibility in the water, I can no longer see him. So he goes into the abyss. And of course, I care a lot about my brother. I love him. So I'm like, okay, I'm counting, okay, he's down there for a minute. All right, it's been a minute and 20 seconds. I still don't see him. Maybe he's pushing himself. I don't know. But the float line helps me track him where he's at. So it helps. Yeah. Um, yeah. That's pretty much it.
Well, there's two things I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about like negative buoyancy, and then also your brother. Like when people are twins, sometimes they can get really good feelings about them. But let's start with the negative buoyancy. Do you know about that? Right? Like I think I'm negative buoyant, so I
Mhm.
will not float. And it's just the density. My body, I've always been this way. Um,
Me
and
as
then
well.
you too. Okay, so how does
Mhm.
that like? So you have to have more. The belt would be different. Like, is the belt weighs you down, but also the belt is there a way to do it to pressurize it or to float? How does that work?
No, no. The biggest thing is you have your fins, so sometimes that helps to raise yourself. But you're not going to be swimming in the water without some sort of wetsuit or clothing on. Um, so in Texas, the water is a little bit warmer. You may have board shorts, and if you're inshore, if it's clear enough, board shorts and a 1.5 millimeter. So you may not even need a weight belt, but
Mm.
more than likely, all you have to do is just gently kick and at an angle, and you'll stay on top of the water.
Okay.
But once you start moving into offshore diving for more than, 30 minutes an hour, I usually suggest people getting a 3 millimeter wetsuit. And so that'll create buoyancy. And then you throw on a couple pounds to counteract or the buoyancy.
Because the wetsuit, is it made out of rubber?
Neoprene, yeah.
Neoprene. So then that's
Hmm.
just it's more obviously more buoyant, doesn't it's
Hmm.
more close. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Pretty much rubber is what it feels like.
Got it. And
Hmm.
then so I'm sure you've heard of like Marcus and Morgan Luttrell.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really interesting. I really love that. I think Morgan Luttrell is if I'm correct, like the senator of Texas. He's one of the senators, something like that. But I love, the story about Lone Survivor. I love, it's multidimensional because from the Lone Survivor story for then like the real kind of background story of like what it was like actually from Marcus's point of view, how Morgan was. So Marcus and Morgan, I think they're identical twins. You're identical twin with your brother?
Identical, yeah.
And when I don't know where it was in Texas, I think it's kind of fairly close to where we are, but it's in a certain ranch that they had, and they were getting information from the military that there was a team of 4 SEALs and they were down and they've been out of contact for X amount of days, and they're believed to be KIA. And that was the information, and people were freaking out, or people were having whatever emotions, and Morgan's like, nope, like I know my brother, like he's not dead.
Hmm.
And then they were maybe like hesitant, from my understanding, to go get him. He's like, I'm gonna go get him, like I'm gonna drop whatever, because Morgan was a SEAL as well. Do you have anything like that with your brother? Because I've heard of that with twins before, but what kind of connection do you guys have?
Yeah. It's a sense of feeling. Throughout our life, there's been times where um, one of us isn't doing very good at the time, or not, we're having a tough time with our emotions or whatever's going on, and the other one can feel it, and we're able to pick up the phone and call the other person. Or when I was deployed, I was having some physical injuries I was dealing with, and um, my brother was feeling that pain that because of me being injured. Um, yeah, it's almost like a magnet.
Hmm.
That's probably the best way, is we're constantly drawn to each other. If however the other, like even now, almost I can feel um, that he's in a really, really good spot. You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a spiritual thing, and probably because of the fact that we have the same DNA, and we're identical twins. It could be um, uh, uh, biological connection as well.
Yeah, so you guys, I mean, are definitely an extension of each other. So you definitely can't lie to each other. That's for sure.
No, and if we try, we can read right through it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're able to get through those barriers with each other. We're very, very, very close, and we've had tough discussions even in the last year, but it's always from a place of connectedness and understanding, um, and in that sense, we almost don't need to try. It just came natural as a kid, and we embraced it, and so it's part of our relationship now. Hmm.
So, I mean, it feels like to me that you guys have a really great relationship, and I wonder how it's like for other twins. I'm just curious, like if they don't like each other or they're whatever, but I wonder, I probably still have that connection too.
I would assume so. I've
Yeah.
met some twins where identical twins where they don't get along, and
He's trying to
um,
be like me. He's trying to be like me.
yeah, I don't. I don't quite understand it because I've never experienced that. But I would assume that they still have that. But again, it almost comes down to um, healing ourselves, or getting through that hard exterior barrier to realize that it is there. That connectedness, and um, yeah, just being in tune with oneself. My brother, he's very he taught me how to love.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah,
How did you do that?
he is an amazing human being. He's very similar to how my mom was, a huge giver. Um, been able to see through certain people in my life's behaviors that I'm still learning to do, and to have that love for them in a sense where he's able to give love to them and focus on that instead of focus on the person's behavior, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's taught me that, and it helped me take myself and my spiritual alignment, mind, body, and soul to the next level. Um, yeah, yeah, he's a huge lover. Hmm.
That's incredible. This might be controversial, but do you think, from your opinion, that people that have identical twin and they get along, that they have an unfair advantage in life? I mean, somebody that can have their back, but also like kind of complete them or give them some different, because it feels like you guys are an extension of each other. Like I never considered, because I never had a twin.
Hmm.
I've had growing up high school. There's what is it called? There's identical and not. What is it called? Not identical.
Fraternal, that one.
Fraternal. Yeah, and so there's these two girls, Stephanie and Sarah Finzen, and they're really cool, but they didn't look like each other, and different heights and different personalities, but they had a connection, but it was different than identical. But I didn't really think much of it. But like you sharing your experience, I feel like I'm getting a clearer picture.
Hmm.
Um, and it's almost like I can feel you, if this makes any sort of sense. Like it's almost like I can feel you guys in the womb when you guys were being created and coming together. It's like you guys were, in a way, like power couple, in a way, like power brothers. And it's just like, hey, I got, like, almost like a pact, hey, I got your back, no
Hmm.
matter what happens in this experience of life, and no matter what, we got each other, and we're gonna help each other out. I feel like I'm getting like there's a bond, but it's like a different. It's like, again, the best words I'm getting is like an extension of each other. And I know that people can have that in relationships, but it's just like I have that with Amanda, with my best friend, with my wife, like unlike anyone else that I've ever experienced. But I wasn't born with it. Like it took a
Hmm.
while in life to meet her. I didn't come into this life that close, but it just kind of feels very special. It feels very like what you guys have.
It is very special, and I don't take it for granted at all. I'm constantly his biggest advocate in life, and he's mine. Um, we've been through and been able to experience life together from the beginning, and that's a bond that is very, very difficult to accurately explain to people. Um, is it an advantage? I would say on the sense of support, probably, because we've been able to experience very similar things from slightly different perspectives. But as long as we're able to have that communication, that open dialogue, from a place of love and acceptance, it's become a little bit of an advantage. Some disadvantages are we're always grouped together, and
Mm,
so having that independence growing up probably helped shape and mold me into the personality I've acquired over the years of this sense of more independence. I'm very driven, probably to prove myself and try to get some attention or energy growing up. And also, again, it's like a magnet. So me being in South Carolina for 2 years, my brother being in Vegas, like I want to be able to be in a place like South Carolina, but spiritually and emotionally and even psychologically, I was being pulled back to where he was physically.
Yeah.
So there was this sense of like, okay, maybe South Carolina won't work. I need to be closer to my twin, you know?
Did he feel the same pull to you, like to go
Oh yeah.
closer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he
You
has a
should.
daughter. My wife and I, we don't have any kids. But him and his wife, they have a daughter, and the parent or the grandparents live out here. So wanted to be able to um, keep that relationship
Yeah.
with their daughter as well. Yeah. So, and they enjoy it out here. They're more social. They enjoy the social aspect of life in that sense. So I enjoy very deep, really deep conversations with people.
Yeah.
So in that social side, yeah. But
What part of Vegas do you live in?
Henderson.
Henderson. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think
Mhm.
I've been
Yeah.
there before.
My brother lives in Lake Las Vegas. So, but I grew up in Henderson.
Okay.
Mhm. You've been to Henderson.
I believe so. It sounds really familiar. I have a couple friends that live out in Vegas, and friend got married. Well, he was born in Vegas, came to Minnesota for a while, and then moved back to Vegas. But I believe it was Henderson where his family was, and I stayed there, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's like some of their yard it was just so different. I think they didn't have grass; they had just rocks in the front yard. It was similar to Arizona, and some like tropical plants, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah. 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 I'm grateful to be here. It's not my end all be all. It's very interesting to be in an environment that, in my head, I picture something else, but having that gratitude to live in an environment that's not somewhere where I'd like to be forever. Um, but it creates a more challenging place to continue the habits that help me get to where I'm at now spiritually, if that makes sense. So like super hot outside and dry, and being able to go outside and meditate or do different things. Whereas if the weather's nice, or by the ocean, it's a little bit easier. So I tend to do it more indoors nowadays. Yeah.
I think and this is something that's not taught anywhere. I definitely teach it, but I just feel they should teach this to kids and all human beings growing up, but that every decade of our lives, like if we get the pleasure, I don't know if that's the right word, if we get the blessing to be able to make it to 10 years old and then to 20 and then 30, every new decade, it's a different set of lessons. It'd be cool in life. And that's what I do now. And I coach people to do, but it's to chunk it down like the whole life. Cause we don't know, nobody knows exactly when they're going to peace out, right? Then they're going to transition to be non-physical again. But every decade there's going to be different lessons, but also we need to be living in a particular area in the world to be able to get those lessons. And we also need particular relationships or amount of people and situations to learn specific lessons. And it's interesting because human beings who don't learn we who do not learn the lessons will keep repeating the teacher over and over and over again. And if there's resistance to the lessons, then there's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's acceptance, no matter whatever the mind says, how much this sucks, no matter how much it hurts or it's challenging or stretching, whatever, I'm going to confront it. I'm going to face it. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to humble myself and become a student of this teacher no matter what. Because sometimes people think the relationship with God is this, God is my teacher. It's like, well, depends on what your definition of God is. If you in the mind of God is something separate than everything else, because a lot of people do that in their mind, that's actually, it's a limitation on God. It's not actually really God.
Mm-hmm.
It's not be limited. But then if people in their mind have God separate than life, separate than this person's, if there's a separation, division, divisiveness, then there's going to be suffering. But like, yes, God is a teacher, but then life itself is to me is the main teacher, which is God, actually. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
life itself and its experiences, its relationships, its circumstances. And again, the better people can learn it, it's not about speeding through either. It's not about speeding through life. Let's hurry this thing up to no longer live. It's actually taking the moment. I feel like that's something I've been learning. Took me, and I can get better at it. I want to, if I have a breath in my body, I want to get better at it. But actually being in the moment, being more present, and I'm a lot like you, where I like that quality of depth of relationships and connecting, because what else is there besides,
Mm-hmm.
connection and relationships and experiencing and learning and growing, at least for people like us.
Yeah.
And how do you, I want to know a little bit more about your experience, which is with your mom. And how old were you when she passed away? You talked about her like really like I can tell you guys had and have a really strong connection with her. Feels very special. She feels very special, as like
Mm-hmm.
her energy. So tell me about that, because my experience is we come to earth, before we're born, we sit down with the creator, and where we choose these different lessons that we're going to learn. We have the opportunity to learn. It's not a guaranteed. We have to physically, experientially embody it and either show up or not. Like, I like the word opportunity. And it could be like a parent passing away at a specific age. It could be losing a leg. It could be a divorce, bankruptcy, disease, a pandemic, all kinds of things, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. But I want to hear more about your relationship with your mom, your experience, and how that ultimately led you to being more connected to your true self and to the divine presence and your purpose. Because I think that's just really important to talk about.
That is, for me, that's a really, really deep and really good question. I have to be able to explain um, a couple different aspects outside of my mom to give you the whole picture. So my parents, my dad and my mom, uh, got married, had my older brother, then had us two twins. When we were five, my mom left my dad, and at the time I didn't understand why, and I could actually can visualize it. From that point, there was fighting,
Real quick,
chaos.
mom left the dad. You went with mom. You went with both.
I stayed with my dad, but then over the next year, the courts decided to have split
Got
custody.
okay.
Yep. So split custody, and from there, um, I got to live and see two different perspectives of life.
Mm,
At the time, I didn't understand. I was, being pulled. I'm not where I'm at now. But on my mom's side, it was very loving and accepting, um, at times coddling, and which is good and bad, right? But very, very much an energy giver to other people, to me, to other people in the neighborhood. The kids in the neighborhood would call her mom and my stepdad dad. It
wow.
was that type of environment. And then my dad's side, he has a lot of narcissistic traits.
Mm,
He needs to learn a lot of lessons and needs a lot of love, but it's so guarded, um, that he projects a lot of his internal beliefs onto me. So from there, I was always trying to fight for his attention and his acceptance and his love. His words would say something, but his actions were not aligned with that.
Was
And
it just
so,
your brother too? Like the projection?
what was that?
Was it the projection more just you or your brother as well?
No, all three of us.
All three of you. Okay.
Yep. All three of us brothers. For me, at an early age, um, I have no problem voicing my opinion and pushing through boundaries instead of submitting.
Mm.
At time, it's all about timing too, but which kind of is part of the reason why him and I don't really talk a whole lot. Um, and I'll get into that, but if we have time. Um,
Yeah.
but from there, I leaned into my mom, because over at my dad, I wasn't getting that, right. So it's creating distance, and I'm craving it more. And then my mom is there to um, literally just give. I don't know how she did it. I rarely saw her angry. She was just someone that truly loved people. She volunteered in our schools as we grew up, just so she could have more time with us. She wrote on sticky notes saying that GWTOY, so GW toy, it stands for guess who's thinking of you. She wrote that, with the X and a O, on sticky notes and put it in our lunch. Whereas my dad was very the opposite. And then my junior year, she's making cookies at home. We were doing prom, and so we were, instead of going out to dinner, we were doing something at home, and my mom was serving us, and catering to us, which is awesome. But she had cookie dough and she got E. coli. And from there, she went into the hospital, went into a coma for about 2 months, and then surgeries, and was in the hospital for 2.5 years throughout my senior year. Um, and then all the way till, yeah, she got out in, I want to say 2010, 2011, maybe 2011. And she was out of the hospital for a year and a half and ended up passing away due to complications within her system. So after the first surgery, she had the E. coli removed, but it affected, the rest of her body. And
Can I
I was,
ask questions about that? Because I don't
of
understand.
course,
So so I had the chocolate chip cookies, and the E. coli can happen. Is it from like the eggs?
that's what most people think. It was from the flour.
The flour. Okay. Now E.
Yeah.
coli is a what? A bacteria, a virus?
It's a E. coli bacteria, like listeria or salmonella.
Okay. And it grew. It was in an environment that wasn't as fresh or grew, or what do you?
There was a farm um, some distance away from the plant or factory that handled the flour, and they believed that it came from manure. So it got kicked up in the air, came down, and got in the flour, and got her sick. All of us got a little bit sick, but for her, she was, vomiting blood in the stool on the bottom of the stairs, curled up, and my stepdad found her. And they said if she didn't get to the hospital that night, she would have been dead by morning.
From the time that she had that flour and ate the cookie, you guys ate the cookies to that she was at the bottom of the stairs. What was that time like?
Saturday to Wednesday.
Okay. 4 days. Okay. And then from Wednesday, then to the house, she went to the hospital on Wednesday.
Yep.
And
She actually went to the hospital on Tuesday, and they said it's irritable bowel syndrome, and they sent her home. And then she went back Wednesday, and then she had, on that Friday, they went into surgery, and she had like 15 or 16 feet of her intestine removed, and then a colostomy bag. And then she was in a induced coma for the next 2 months, or
2 months.
month, 2 months, something like that. Yeah.
And so it was I just have no idea. And Curious. Like, so it's this bacteria, but how do they take it? Like, I don't know. How do they take out a bacteria with surgery? Like, they
Um,
have
yeah,
something.
it infected her intestines. So they took out the part that was infected
Okay,
or
so
affected.
it
So
went into part of like the cells, or it started to like get inside and then cause havoc.
mhm.
Okay, so that got removed, medically induced coma for 2 months, and then how did she come out of that?
She was actually having a tough time coming out. And have you ever heard of Jack Johnson?
The singer?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's
So
the singer. Yeah.
yeah, Jack. Oh yeah, yeah. The singer, the artist. My older brother was the only one that was able to help bring her out of the coma. She was having a lot of difficulty because it's not, you just wake up. There's tubes and stuff that have to slowly come out, and he decided to play Jack Johnson during that time. And again, vibrations, the type of music, it affects everything. And he helped her get out. And during this time, I'm kind of confused of, okay, my mom just got sick. It's a little scary, but awesome. Okay, she's good.
And you're a junior.
I'm a junior. Yeah, this is at the end of my junior year.
Okay.
And then she goes upstairs and she's in a room communicating just fine. She I don't think she ever came home out after that. So I think she was there. We thought she was good. Oh, awesome, cool. She'll be back home. And then her body just started like kind of shutting down. Her kidneys would retain a lot of water. She went into a rehab facility to try to heal a little bit, and she ended up flatlining. So the alarm goes off. I wasn't there, but basically they went in the room and had to stab her to get her heart going. Um, Rushed her to the hospital, took out, I want to say 3 liters of fluid, 4 liters of fluid, something like that,
In her lungs,
in her body. So
body.
her kidney, yeah, all in her body. She had so much fluid that you could put your hand on her leg and take it off, and there's indents of your hand, like a handprint,
Pulmonary
almost
edema.
like in concrete.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. And then from there, um, yeah, multiple surgeries, 3, 4, 5, 10 major surgeries. At times, it was like a roller coaster. You know,
Mm.
days where, oh, we think she's coming home, and then the next day we're giving her her last rites or putting her on life support. And this is throughout my entire senior year. So the support and love that I had growing up, the unconditional love, I was watching deteriorate and die in front of me. And then still being in high school, over at my dad's house around this place of, um, I don't think I ever heard, I'm sorry for what's going on. I don't think I ever got a hug from him. Um, you know, uh, Trying to help navigate the process or give me that, because this is what I believe. I believe it's because um, he hasn't done it to himself yet, you know,
Correct. Yeah.
um, and, and that's ultimately we give to others what we are inside. Yeah, and then she went to move to San Francisco, flew her out there to get better care
From
and
Vegas.
from Vegas. Yeah.
How
Yep.
old?
And we,
How old
sorry.
was she at this time when she moved?
Um, she passed away when she was 62. So she had us at 41 years old. But she passed away at 62. So 58, I believe, is when she got sick.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then they moved her to San Francisco for better care. And then how did that go?
Yeah. So for better care, my stepdad, pretty much the moment that he knew it was serious, he quit his job, um, and stayed in the hospital and lived in the hospital for the next 2.5 years. Devoted his time to her. You know, anytime we weren't at school or during this time I was wrestling, and which is amazing. When tragedy happens, you can either be a victim or a victor, and I leveraged the tragedy to be successful in wrestling.
How'd you do that?
How did I do that?
What was the like internal process that you, what was it, a decision, a belief? What did you say to yourself?
Can I cuss?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
I
Be authentic.
I always told myself, don't be a bitch, you know? And it was this sense of running away from the trauma, running away and trying to be stronger than it. And proving to myself, that's why I was so drawn to the Navy SEALs for so long, is their mental toughness, that no matter what happens in life, they always find a way. They will die before they'll die 10 times before they quit, you know? And I had this mentality. And so that's what I leveraged into wrestling. Is I took all that anger out on my work habit. I took all the frustration and pain in my life on my work habit. I used to wear a shirt my senior year that said, "This is for you, Mom." And I ended up taking second, which I'm really proud of now. At the time, I was quite disappointed. But that's what I did. You know, I never wanted to be the person in the corner crying and feeling sorry for myself. Now, I've processed the majority of those feelings in a safe, controlled environment, navigating myself through my mind and, you know, through the support of others. But yeah, I guess from a young age, I wanted to learn the lessons. I didn't want to have that victim mentality. And so that's what I did. It was like going to the gym or my escape, probably.
Yeah. I feel like that's awesome. And that's who I am. That's who I, resonate with and connect with. And I'm magnetically drawn to. It's in those situations in life, there's like really two choices. One is known is, and you said quit being a bitch, or don't be a bitch.
Yeah. Don't be a bitch. Yeah.
For me, it was like, quit being a pussy. That was my internal mantra. That's just like, and what that translates to was literally like, that's a saying. But then what's behind it is like, you have two options. You have the known option, which is the pussy option, which is going towards fear, or it's running away from addressing it, but it's known. I know it's going to be fear. I know it's going to be failure. I know it's going to be loser. I know it's going to be coward. So it's like actually the known. This is the unknown, which actually it's going to be, it's going to be hard or challenging. And I do know deep down the solution is behind it or through it, really, but it's unknown. So the unknown is really where the solution lies, but the known is like, yeah, I know that this is going to be terrible. And I also knew, I was born with this. I knew that if I did take the pussy route, if I took the cop out, the cowards route, it would close down an opportunity in life that things would not only be harder, because I knew this lesson was going to come back, but also it just closed opportunities. It closed windows down in my life that would be positive because I didn't confront it. And so for me, it's just like, there's no choice. I'd rather die before I fail. You know what I mean? And this is just an emotion. It doesn't matter actually if it's a physical, psychological, spiritual, or financial. It's like, this is an opportunity. This is a challenge. And let's see what happens. I had a lot of cowards that I grew up, or people that took that path, for role models. And I didn't want that. And I would rather like die trying a new way than to live, which is really existing as a slave through fear, like let fear rule. And I think that's a huge problem that people have is they're afraid of fear. I think that majority
Mm.
of human beings' problems in life is they're afraid of fear. They resist fear. And the ones that are like the Navy SEAL mentality, the absolution that I'm going to die before I quit, they're not afraid of fear. They'll feel it. So what if my body shakes? So what if my voice breaks? So what? What's wrong with that? Is it going to kill me? Is an emotion going to kill me? No. And is life going to kill me? Well, no, if we're still alive right now,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even that, I do have a question. I have something to say. For me, as you say that, it kind of brings me back to where I was, or even the part of me that still has that uh, Navy SEAL mentality. Is like even if it kills me, it's almost like the fear of death doesn't exist. That's what it feels like, you know. And that is able to help me push past any boundary or any limitation that is there. You know, it's almost like submitting. Well, eventually we're gonna die. Like the two things we're guaranteed is to be born and to die in this life.
Yeah.
You know, but to go back to the splitting question, do you think people are born with um, the sense of fear or victim mentality, or uh, is it learned, or is there almost like this grading scale in between?
I feel that I, out of all the things I've experienced and researched and gone within myself and my own personal conclusion, like there's just absolutely no way that I feel we only get one shot with life. Like I do feel we only have this life right now. This life is guaranteed now because I mean it's given to us, but for how long we don't know. That's not guaranteed. But I really feel people that are like amazing or like your mom, for example, I don't, I want you to hear what understand what I'm saying. Like, I don't think, I think she was one of the most amazing moms in the world, but I don't think that just in one lifetime she learned all that stuff. I think she came
Right.
into it with that life. Like, there's just no way. Like, there's no way somebody could be anyone in the world could be so amazing in one lifetime that they do things. I don't see that's a possibility. I feel like people that come into the life, they've learned it. They've learned lessons. I feel a lot of people kind of get into the spiritual realm. Some people with the ego and the mind, they see things from an egoic point of view, which is like, okay, there's only one life. And then why are some people awesome and some people are not awesome? Some people are, learn from the principles of the universe and life, and some people are struggling with it. And is it fair to give people just one shot at things? Like even in our life right now, I've learned there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. There are no mistakes. There's only learning experiences. If I do something and I don't like the results, I learn from it. And I do think I never do the same behavior again. And I learn differently. So I feel that we're born with it for sure, 100%. But I also feel, and so let's go beyond that though. Okay, we're born with it. But then at one point we confronted I feel any human being that's great at something has learned a lesson, the X amount, the energetic equivalent lesson to earn that greatness. I don't think greatness is just automatic. I think it's earned. I think it's learned and earned, whether we come into the life and we did it before or this life. But that's also why I feel we as leaders, as coaches, as entrepreneurs, just leaders, need to step up, or it's in our nature once we have it. And if it's blessed by the divine, we want to give it and share with other people. So I feel for you and me, I feel like we were born with it, but I also feel we're here to share it. It's not like the egoic understanding is if we become awesome, then everybody else bows to us and then like gives us free drinks everywhere, gives us free food, gives us massages, like everyone worships us and does everything for us. It's not like that. As we become awesome or excellent, and then we actually help other people build them up and do the same. So that's ultimately um, why we go through things, why we have these struggles and challenges and opportunities to actually learn, grow, experience, and help other people. So I feel like we were born with it, but other people can learn it in this life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel they can do it without other people who haven't already broken through. Like you wouldn't be the man you are now and becoming without your mom.
Mm-hmm.
You just wouldn't. We wouldn't be who we were without the experiences and the people in our lives and our ancestors to help us get here. So yeah, I feel like we are born with it. And I know firsthand experience working with thousands and thousands of people that aren't born with it. I mean, a lot of my clients aren't born clients, friends, people in my life, they're not born with certain skills that I have. And something that's just so easy to me, it's not for them. So I
Mm.
developed a system to break it down, meet them at their level. It's like a staircase. It's basically like I can fly. This is the metaphors. I can fly, I can go anywhere. And someone's like, that's so cool. I want to fly too. It's like, well, just here's how I do it. And they're like, I don't even understand the language. I don't even have that in my mind. Okay. Well, the first thing is you got to do is you got to believe you can fly. Well, I don't have the belief. Okay. Then the second thing we need to do is get rid of the limiting beliefs that you can fly. That's in your past. Okay. Once we do that, how do I do that? Well, let me help you through that. So I think it's just, like that's what it's like. And then you have the belief. Now you got to practice the mechanics, and then eventually you get your feet off the ground and then be able to do it. So that's how do you feel about that? Like, how does that land for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I um, I definitely don't believe that we only live one lifetime, and I'm not the majority of the like. There's so much I don't know, and there's so much more than that I don't know, and there's
Yeah.
so much more than that I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, eh, I don't limit myself to the knowledge I've acquired to this moment,
Yeah.
you know? And my fascination with learning more and understanding people's perspectives, ones that I agree with and ones that I don't, at the end of the day, they're all right in their own way, and it gives me a better picture, a better opportunity to be the best me I can possibly be. Um, One thing you said is, I wouldn't be who I am without my mom or even the experience of my mom. Absolutely. And I wouldn't be who I am without the experience of my dad,
Yep.
and everything. And I'm still learning that. I'm still processing that. And, just like how taking flight, being patient and doing the work, taking my hands off the wheel and letting the process do its thing. Um, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I was curious on where you landed in your beliefs. Um, I guess with that too is time to me is not necessarily linear, right? Because you have like a melting pot of personalities, or I guess thermostat settings, right, within each of us in our life now. Um, what what's your thoughts and views on, um, as if time is linear, on having more of a, um, heart-centered, coherent human race? Because I have this sense of calling of almost like upgrading the heartbeat of the human race. This sense to to help connect us all back together in the, sense of love and compassion.
Yeah, I feel that is the ultimate goal and destination that humanity is the course that we're on. And I just studying history. I mean, but history, like according to whom, right? Um, like just, just waking up for so many things, like, I don't know, just in the world. And was it accurate or was it this? How was it framed? But we do know that there was medieval times. We do know that, there was beheadings at some point. We do know that people would stone people. You know what I mean? Like if they don't like them, I don't like you. We're gonna throw stones at you until your body doesn't move anymore. So we do know that we've evolved since then. We can actually communicate. There's language,
Mhm.
um, and there's still war. I mean, there's still war going on. But I really feel the goal is for humanity to return back to its natural state of being of oneness.
Mhm.
And I do feel that we have free will to do that. I do feel that there is a divisive force that is like a magnet that wants to pull people away from each other and themselves and the creator. I feel that there is it's almost like a light that's like super attractive. That's like so I think the divisive energy is more of a like a negative magnet. And then the divisive is just more like a light that we can go towards that lights us up. Like that can, it feels like home and it just feels us.
Mhm.
But we have to choose. And if we don't choose, we almost get like drawn towards like the gravity of the negative thing because that's just easier in a way to be like lazy. Like laziness equals dis-ease. Laziness equals poverty. Laziness equals loneliness. Laziness equals separation, unfulfillment. And discipline and action equals, like health and goal setting and goal achieving and all those things. Um, I think it gets bigger. I mean, like you said, time is a construct kind of a thing. I mean, I do think time exists on this third dimensional plane. I think higher, nope. I think it's eternal.
Mhm.
But it's like there is duality on the third dimensional plane. Higher, there's oneness, which is our
Mhm.
natural state. And we can actually have the ability to tap into that here and bring that actually here. There's the opposite where people can go lower and then fight and resist and screw people over and all that stuff, cheat, rob, steal, lie, hurt, really hurt. I mean, it kind of goes really down to hurt. And but I feel like those are all lessons. So I do feel that in our time on earth, in our life, is humanity going to come to a place of oneness? I don't know. Like, I don't know. um and I kind of don't care. And what I mean by that is I don't care is because I'm not leaving this present moment to go focus in the future. I mean, every once in a while I'll feel or I'll think, but I'm so present. It it's like I'm really too busy connecting with the people and it's in my lives and whoever I'm in front of and helping be of service, letting that be a divine vessel of light. I'm not going to leave that to think about it. It's
Mhm.
like when people find that connection to God, that higher consciousness, infinite intelligence, if you aren't focusing on it, you're going away from it. Why would it do that? And so I just don't do that. But I do feel like we're here to do our part. And for this level, I kind of look at it as like a tread on a army tank. Like there's this one tread goes down and the next tread goes down. We're here
Mhm.
to do our tread, our part, and to move the tank of humanity forward, to move the species, the one body forward in a way. Um, but I do feel in order for that to happen, like there's people have to understand themselves. They have to like choose it. They have to understand. I feel like demons, like every addiction, there's a demon that's governed for every addiction, for pretty much almost every emotion that, especially in what's called a negative, the hurt, the fear, the loneliness, lust, things like that, guilt, shame, yeah, things like that. Then if it's not guarded, connected, invited by God, then a demon comes through that, especially fear. That's like the number
Mhm.
one thing. And I feel in order for humanity to be back to its natural state of oneness, that the whole collective of humanity needs to unite. The majority rules, and they need to like cast the demons off this earth and third dimensional plane and say, nope. But it's not just it's being absolute. It's actually not being afraid of fear. It's actually, it doesn't matter if a person's going to get tortured or shamed or whatever, and they're still going to connect to that light, that God. because the only thing that
Mhm.
could torture or shame is that divisive energy. But if we come together as a people, as a species, as one, yeah, human race, that's the only way I see it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it may or may not happen soon, or in hundreds, thousands of years.
Yeah.
All we can do is work on ourselves and upgrade ourselves. And then, yeah, I use a cup analogy. So I have cups, and I say, like, okay, imagine your cup's full of muddy water and you're trying to, you know, love on the people around you. That's what you're pouring into their life. And if you want to um, be in a place of service, or a place where you want to give more and love more and be more in the present moment, you've got to be able to clean out your cup, and so you're pouring positive water or clean water into the people around you, into the life around you, into the experiences, expanding your awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I kind of, knew at a young age I was on a mission to help humanity, help people, but I didn't get the full orders. I was going to help humanity. And then I realized not all humanity wants help. And then I was going to help the people that want help. And then I realized not all the people that want help want my help. Then I
Hmm.
was like, okay, I'm only going to focus on the people that want my help. And then I realized I don't want to help all the people that want my help. I want to help the people that are actually going to do something with it. So I feel like an evolution and a refinement is really, really important. But then I gave it, it's like my jujitsu journey. When I started jujitsu, a teacher, I didn't know what it was. I saw the UFC, watched it live, the first one, UFC one. And I was like, I didn't know what it was. They might even said jujitsu. I didn't understand it. But then it wasn't, that was 93. And then to 98, I had a first jujitsu instructor. Okay, I heard about it, heard about these Gracies and whatever. And then my first jujitsu instructor was doing all kinds of wrist locks, leg locks, arm bars, all kinds of things, chokes. And I was just like, whoa, I'm very kinesthetic. So I experientially learned, and it lit me up. And I get it now. Okay, I want to learn this. And I started training. And then I was like, cool, I want to be a black belt. And then life happens and circumstances happen. And it's like, I want to be a black belt, but all these things got in the way of actually training. So
Hmm.
me holding on to the black belt or wanting the black belt was a distraction and a frustration, because like I wasn't progressing because I wasn't going because I had, like you, like figuring life out and doing all kinds of things. And I only had so much time, and I was working out, but I wasn't doing the jujitsu. And then I just said, okay, I'm not even a blue belt yet. So I just threw the black belt in the garbage, that idea. Let me get my blue belt, because that's the next step for a black belt. And then I started consistently training more, but it's just like, then some things started to come up in between. And I said, you know what? Screw the blue belt. I don't even care about the blue belt. Let me just focus on my next class. And that was the best strategy for me. I don't care about the belts. I just want to get to the next class. I want to become better. I want to grow. I want to learn, because that's really why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for a belt. So I
Hmm.
kind of let that go. And very similar to that with like my mission and humanity becoming back to oneness. That's not my mission. I'm part of the team, but I didn't create it. I didn't say it's not originating from me and everybody that's listening. You need to go off and you need to help people and do this because I say so. It didn't come from me. It came through me, not for humanity, but just for me, through me, and through the people in my life. But that's it. That's why I'm saying I don't care. It means that's not a focus of mine anymore. To like, I'm doing this. It is true to help humanity and to get to that goal, but who knows? It could be thousands of years, like you said, tens of thousands, hundreds. I don't know. So then now I'm chunked it down and focused to show up in the moment, do my best today. It's kind of like a Navy SEAL studying the SEALs and the mentality. It's like one evolution at a time, because we can
Hmm.
get overwhelmed with so many things in life. And what they do is, like, especially for Hell Week, it's pretty much nonstop. Maybe like a 1 hour sleep a day, maybe. Um, and you get more rewards if you do good. But anyways, but it's like the only way to get through it, something that's so vast or extreme or whatever. Like nobody's minds can comprehend Hell Week. And the only thing to do is one evolution at a time. We just need to carry these boats here. We just need to do these logs here. We just need to tread water and get through the shivering from here. We just need to do the drown proof from here, and just that's it. Calm, and it's impossible to get through Hell Week without being in the present moment, without being connected and focused. And it's impossible to get through, I feel like, challenging things. So that's what I've been. I feel like almost like in a chef, you take red wine and you saute it, and it's a red wine reduction. I feel like my life has led me to be reduced to simplicity, to be present, and to focus on what I'm doing. Sure, like what direction I'm heading, but more importantly, what I'm doing and who I'm with. And that's what I really like. I get a lot of good feedback because when I'm talking to people and when I'm with people, they don't feel like I'm going off. I'm not looking at my phone and doing all these other things. I'm actually genuinely want to connect with that depth and that presence. And I'm a big connector. I love, there's no better feeling to connect, because I feel and I've learned, whether, years ago being a corrective exercise course specialist, personal trainer, is like, if I'm around people in a health environment, I'm going to work out more, especially if I'm in a leadership role. Like, I got to stay ahead of the game. The same thing is true spiritually. Same thing is true, like, financially. Just surround myself with people who is wanting what I'm wanting, but in their own way. But also there's a collective consciousness that we're holding together that helps me out. And that literally goes physically, psychologically, spiritual, financially, especially spiritually. When people get together and talk about that consciousness, it amplifies, it multiplies. And that the divine presence comes in when we both focus on it. And I found and know that we need each other to get to the next level.
Is that why you do what you do? Is you share the information that and the life experiences that you've acquired over this life and previous lives? Is that connectedness?
Yeah, I do it. Yeah, it's multidimensional. I do it because I'm built and born to do it. I chose to do it before I was born. I'm choosing to do it while I'm alive. There's no better feeling. There's nothing more rewarding. It's fulfilling my life's purpose. It's helping other people fulfill their life's purpose. It's serving the mission of God. It's like, it's multidimensional, and it fills so many buckets. There's nothing I rather do. There's probably more the more we talk about it, but yeah, I can't not do it. If I had, $10 billion in my bank account, I would do it at a bigger level. So I would do it. If I had $0 in my bank account, I would still do it. I'd still probably have to do other thing well, I'm actually build my business up pretty successfully, so I can do it full time, and help other people do it full time. But yeah, that's why, because I have a life purpose. I have a mission that I need to fulfill. Like, I need to help other people in order to feel that fulfillment. It's not, it's a selfish thing, but it's a not self-centered thing, if that makes sense.
It seems like you're able to keep it more in the present moment than big picture it.
I can bring the big picture in the present moment at the same time. So I don't have to, I've learned how not to do either or. I can do either or, but I can do both at the same time as well.
Because I know you were saying you don't care about like upgrading the heartbeat of the human race.
No, I do. It's just not focus.
Gotcha.
Like, how do I explain? Let me explain this. I'm not focused on working with 8 billion people directly. I'm not trying to, as far as I understand, maybe the president of the United States, when they speak, that gets the most people out. Maybe there's some YouTuber that gets out more people. I don't know. But like Super Bowl, and from what I understand, Super Bowl and maybe like a presidential thing, that gets out to the most people, especially if it has to do with war. Let's just say president of the United States talking about war, like, we're actually going to war with so-and-so, and it's a big deal. I think that's going to get out to most people's eyeballs and ear holes. I'm not trying to directly help 8 billion people. I don't feel like it's my mission to get on TV and everyone needs to listen to me and do this. I do care about that, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to say it directly. It's more indirectly. It's more through leaders, through people that are like people like you. I'd rather talk to you that is going to help a lot of people than talk to a lot of people that's not going to help a lot of people. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I'm very in line with, um, not giving someone a fish, but teaching them how to fish, and I find the most value doing it through really deep, intimate one-on-one sessions, and it's almost like I'm giving them a gift to be able to be aligned with their true self. Um, and if they choose to, they can have the opportunity to give that gift to other people. And I believe that's how true, positive change is created. It's not from the top down. It's not from the, you know, trying to reach everyone all at once, but it's meeting people where they're at and helping them, um, upgrade their life and clean out their cup. And as they spend time and connect with other people, they're giving more, alignment, more clarity, more connectedness to the divine and God.
Yeah,
So
that's well
that's
said.
how, over time compounded, right?
Yeah.
Um, big changes created. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. And then do you feel once you do help people go deep and maybe they get some insights, activations, awakenings, enlightenments within themselves, but do you feel like you also get that for you too? As far as
Every
like,
time.
yeah,
I always say I get so much out of it. I almost feel like I get more out of it. Yeah, and you've taught me this, that in order to guide someone, you need to be basically deeper than them. And every time I'm guiding someone, I'm going, to a place within myself that's deep. And it brings a lot of sense of high energy, connectedness, love, compassion, the unknown. And because of this sense of being curious about the unknown and curious of building a relationship with myself, or shedding different things, it's almost like being in the gym around people that are working out. I'm more inclined to work out, so my
yeah,
association, the doing sessions, or um, you know different things, is that's the association I'm choosing. And I'm in the gym and I work, I just helped someone work out. Now I'm like, man, okay, like it's my time to work out.
yeah.
That's how I feel. Yeah. What about
That's
you?
yeah. Again, I just feel like I need people. I think we need people, but speaking for myself, I need other people. To it's just more powerful. Like the metaphor is like if my car is stalled at the side of the road and I get out, put it in neutral, and I need to move it, and I'm pushing it by myself, it only goes so fast. Depends on the angle. If it's a certain angle, I can't do it. A certain angle, I can. Just a lot of work. And now, if I get somebody else, two people, I mean, that's now 200%, right? Let's just say we're the same amount of strength and effort. So now we're 200% that we can push the car. We get three people, maybe someone steers it. That'd be great. And we get four people. The more people you get, the more power it gets. There's a saying in, I believe it is in the Bible where it's like, I believe it's Jesus said like when two or more people come in the name of Christ, come together in the name of Christ. That's what church is, something like that.
Mm.
And a lot of people think church is a building, but it's actually, I feel it's like a battery in a way. You need like the positive and negative, but it's more like a plug-in. You need both, the grounding and the hot wire. You need the different things. Um, I feel like when people come together, it's similar to you and your brother. When you and your brother are together and you're both doing great, man, you guys are powered up and unstoppable, and you can draw upon the power of each other. And if he's better at certain things, you can follow that divine flow. You're better at certain things, you can follow the divine flow. You guys are not great at the things, you guys can team up and become better. And you guys are both great. It's just, it's super powerful. Well, I do feel that's the same for other people. And when I get around other people, especially, like I said, just physically or spiritually or financially, like it's just, it lights me up because I want to learn too. I want to be, I don't want to say inspired, because I have discipline, but it's in motivating, inspiring. I don't need that, like, it's to be disciplined, but it helps. It's nice, like, to get around, like, wow, that's pretty cool. You're really doing this, and you have a different perspective, and kind of like how you and I are saying the same things, but we use different words, but it's the same
Mhm.
energy. I love that, and I love learning about people's perceptions and their energy. But that's how I feel. I feel like we as human beings, but I feel like I need other people and they need me. I feel like we need each other to learn, grow, experience, share, get better. Like, I feel like we're meant to be the best in the world at what we're here to do, and then share it with other people. We're not supposed to be the best in the world at everything, because nobody in the history ever was. Um, but there's people that have been the best in the world at the thing that they're the best in the world at, and then they get to share with other people. And I love that. I love receiving. I love giving. Um, normally, like, in whether it's coaching sessions, seminars, whatever, I'm the one that speaks the most. But I can go out with friends or go out in a public setting, and I could not say anything. I could just listen. And I love that. I love showcasing and featuring people. I love like learning about people, because I think people are the most interesting and fascinating things on the planet. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the trees, I love butterflies, I love, panthers, I love all the animals and bugs and everything, like structures and technology. That's cool. But there's just nothing more interesting than people. And so dynamic and complex, and so much value. That's the potential is there. And it's what I enjoy the most. But I need people, and they need me. Like, the people that need me. The people I need. And but also, I kind of like with your dad. I need your dad to me is an indirect teacher. Is what I call an indirect
Mhm.
teacher. Someone who teaches you what not to do.
Mhm.
And your mom's more of a direct teacher, which is someone teaches you what to do. My mom was an indirect teacher. My dad was a direct teacher, and they're equally important. And life on earth isn't just sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. There's A to Z. There's nastiest things of war, and then there's the most beautiful things of love and creation and everything in between. It's the full spectrum of earth and life. And what I've learned is equally important is, whether it's like, let's say my coaching business, like, I was so open to helping people, but then a lot of people came to get help, and some people really didn't want help, and some people really did. And I found that when I found the people that really valued me and I really valued, it really exponentially took off. But I needed the other people to show me, to set boundaries where I didn't, to learn lessons where I didn't yet. I think
Mhm.
that's just really, really, I think everybody's important
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. They have to be willing. That's the first step. Or yeah. Yeah, to me that's the first step is being open and willing to want to upgrade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And let's, if we can kind of circle back to the rest of the story, where your mom was in San Francisco, and she was in there so this happened for like 4 years, and how long was it she in San Francisco, and she transitioned in San Francisco?
Yeah, so she was in Las Vegas for a year and a half. No, a year. So just before a year because I graduated in 2010 from high school and she was already up in San Francisco because she couldn't make it to our graduation. So we basically surprised her wearing our gown when we went up to San Francisco and walked in. So she was up there in a rehab facility at California Medical Pacific Center. It's a rehab facility on the top, hospital on the bottom.
Mm.
And so, um, yeah, from being in the hospital for a year at that point, or a little over a year, she stayed there for, I believe, another year, year and a half, trying to learn how to walk again because she was laying in a bed for so long. Her hands became curled. She had drop foot, kidney issues, couldn't walk. At one point, she had a trach um, in her throat, colostomy bag. I mean, it was like she was hooked up to all types of machines at different points. And yeah, that's where she took her first step again after not being able to walk. And she was basically being rehabilitated. While she was up there, there were some complications, sometimes where we didn't know if she was going to make it. But at some point, she was good enough to go home. And my stepdad and my mom ended up getting a property out in Livermore, California. That's where he is from. And it's close enough to the doctors to where she could get the care that she needed. But once she got out, we had the opportunity to be her caregiver. So I'd live in Vegas. I'd fly out to Oakland, drive about 45 minutes to the house, and help take care of my mom during the week. And then I'd fly back at night or on the weekends. And we'd alternate, us three boys would alternate during this time.
Wow.
But pretty much everything that she needed. She was on a lot of medication. She couldn't clean herself properly, so we helped with that. And just it gave us an opportunity to spend time with her. And yeah, so during this process or this time, it was a very interesting time, and I had a certain amount of awareness to where, I knew I had a lot of issues, a lot of mental issues. I hadn't gone to therapy, never was brought up, or no sort of coaching or healing. And I knew that I hadn't fully processed the fact that my mom's almost a different person now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things you can go online if anyone's interested in learning more. Her name's Linda Rivera, and she got E. coli. And if you Google it, it'll pull up immediately. And there's a bunch of interviews from us. She's the worst case of someone getting E. coli in the United States that survived. She ended up passing away later on. Yeah. And we as a family work with a company called Stop Foodborne Illness, where we are advocates to, try to help those that are affected from foodborne illness. But I had, in my mind, I basically had to convince myself that my mom was dead, in order to learn to build a relationship with the shell of a person that was there, because she went through so much. She looked different. The energy that she held was different. She still had a lot of love, unconditional love. Crazy. She could be literally like on her deathbed. I remember where she has a hole in her throat and she can barely move. And we come in and she doesn't even focus on herself. She's like, "You guys doing okay?" It's amazing, right? And that's where I get a lot of my compassion, or I have learned it. But yeah, so that's the type of person she was or is. But then at some point, she wanted to remove the colostomy bag. It was, for whatever reason, something that she didn't want to live with. And my stepdad, I've talked to him since she's passed on, kind of some of the stuff that happened that may have caused her to pass away. And he believes that if she would have kept it for another year or so to continue to build the other parts of her, that she may have been able to be here longer. But she ended up getting it removed. So the colostomy bag and her intestine basically put back together so that she could naturally use the bathroom to go number two. And from this, it caused a lot of blockages and complications. It seemed like every other week she was back in the hospital and, clearing her out. And this went on for probably about a year. And then in July, so July 12th, I was trying to get my motorcycle license. So doing a motorcycle class out here in Las Vegas. At this time, my twin brother, Ricky, was in Livermore taking care of my mom. And she went in the hospital, which is kind of a normal thing. And we get a call Friday night saying it's not looking very good. And that you may want to come up, and we've gotten so many of these calls before. I mean, most of the time it's while we're there or here in Vegas, that emotionally it wasn't, really different. But most of the time, I chose to just, okay, if this is it, I'm going. And so the next morning I flew out, and the moment I landed, my aunt picked me up, and I was asking questions, and basically she had suffered a stroke throughout the night. And yeah, and that's when I knew it was different. And so drove to the hospital, and by that time she was basically physically and mentally not here anymore. She was still there, but her rate of breathing was gasping. She was on life support. One eye open, one eye closed, kind of thing. Different eye dilations.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we said goodbye to her, and we ended up taking her off, and she passed away that night. And this was just after my 21st birthday. And I had signed to go in the military in December, in the National Guard and the Army out here. And I was supposed to go to basic training in July, but because of her passing, they moved it back a couple months so I could go to the memorial. And then I joined the military, and I was in the military and got deployed and went to Kuwait and Iraq. And, just always at this point, I hadn't been able to deal with a lot of my internal mental emotions. Was never wanted to go out by suicide. I guess didn't have the maybe courage to do it. So I figured, okay, well, like, let's go to war, let's like, I guess possibly suicide by someone else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And thank God nothing like that happened. I saw a different aspect of war, from more of the techno side, drone side, which has its own effects. But I came back, and right when I came back, I put away, quit smoking cigarettes and chewing tobacco and coffee, took the TV out of my house, stopped listening to music, limited my association, picked up books, put in headphones for podcasts, and for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years. And I wanted to heal. Before I went to Iraq, I looked at myself in the mirror and I made a promise to myself that no matter what happens, I'm going to learn to love myself. And through that process, I was able to heal and be able to appreciate the life experiences I've had. And at times, like me talking about what just happened, there's still emotion there, but it's not. I'm not being pulled and sucked in the river of the emotion.
Mm.
I'm an observer of the emotion, um, and I can gently put my hand on it and feel the emotion instead of being controlled by it. Um, but yeah, that's that's the journey of my mom. An amazing, amazing woman. But
I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, that's really, I feel it powerful, really beautiful. Like I love hearing about that. Maybe some other time we can get a conversation too, because I had similar but opposite experience with my mom. Like I felt like I lost my mom when she was 15, or when I was 15. The body's still alive right now, but again, it's a different story. But it was more like um, the narcissistic mental illness kind of a thing, and but it's just like it was cool how you grew from that, and now you have this divine guidance life coaching.
mm-hmm.
This is something that you feel guided and called like to share in the world and serve from your healing and transformation training and insights. And so can you share a little bit more about that for people to
Yeah.
listen?
So through the healing of myself, when I came out of the cocoon and started socializing with people I previously would socialize, they saw a huge change, and so did I. Um, with bringing awareness to oneself, you bring awareness to other things in life, and so I was able to see where people were wanting different results in life and not able to get them. And through my self development, and this may be one of the biggest things that help shape and help me grow as a leader, is permission based leadership. So instead of what you, Jeremiah, has said in your teachings is, don't NLP people. Um, is when I gained so much value in my life, I wanted to share it. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm healed. Like it's crazy. I never thought I could get to this point, and I'm here, and I'm loving myself, and I'm appreciating life, and I can actually get out of bed and do things. I'm not drinking. I'm not, and other people just aren't there. And what I learned is to ask is, okay, is this a problem? Like, are you truly happy in life? Are you where you want to be? And no. Okay. Do you feel like you want to do it alone, or do you need some help? Are you looking for, some guidance? And depending on that answer depends on if the door's open for me to enter or not. And sometimes it takes it takes a while. It takes a day, 2 days, for one of my military buddies, of just me letting him talk and being and holding space for him to open up that door. And now he's sober, and being able to be present in his daughter's life. And so that, by me changing the people in my life that wanted change, I was able to naturally help. And then about a year and a half ago, one of my team members that I got deployed with committed suicide. And it was almost like a little bit of a reality check of like, okay, I know I can't help everyone, but what can I do?
Yeah.
How can I turn what I've done inward into a lifestyle. And I was able to get on my cousin's podcast and talk with her. And A Witch, a Mystic, and a Feminist is her podcast, very spiritual podcast. And she brought up the fact that, I should be a life coach. And at this point, I'm like, I don't know what a life coach is. The other way is therapy. I am more, I know there's holistic therapists or things, but I'm very proactive. I like to, um, create a game plan or help, yeah, create things. And I feel like coaching is more geared towards that.
Yeah.
Um, and so I didn't know where to start. I was searching up a bunch of information. I'm, going on Indeed looking for coaching jobs, realizing that there's no coaching jobs, or ones that I couldn't source. And then I got certified. I found your program, the NLP program, and that's been huge and fascinating. I highly suggest, if anyone's listening to this and they want to get into life coaching and bring awareness to how to connect with others and be able to help create change, is to talk with Jeremiah and Amanda and figure out what program's right for you. It brought a lot of awareness to me. I'm very spiritual and scientific based. A lot of the teachings that I've learned is from Dr. Joe Dispenza. And and then, through just saying yes, that's my motto for this year, is I'm just going to say yes. And from saying yes and not being trying to control the wheel, right? Just kind of letting it be and being patient, being in the moment. I'm about to, here in the next month or two, probably leave my job and do this full time. And, after doing this, starting my journey of pursuing life coaching a year ago, but that's the business side. That's, not counting the years and years that I was able to do the inner work. And again, okay, maybe it takes a year, maybe it takes another 10 years to do it full time. It's all good. Like, I'm not, like, the divine timing, right, is what you say is. But yeah, I truly have a feeling or a calling to help heal people and bring awareness to their life, help them be more aligned with their true self. And it's an honor, and I don't take it lightly at all. It truly is. I feel people. I'm very kinesthetic. I feel in some of my sessions while I'm guiding them, I'm the one that's tearing up because I can feel their energy and where they're at. So
well, that's
I
awesome.
hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. I really appreciate it. And before we do the final wrap up, is there any place? What's the best place for people to find you, connect with you, check you out, work with you?
Yes. If you want to work with me, go to my Instagram, I_AM_Tony Simpson. So I_M Tony or _Tony Simpson. I am developing a website right now. I have a Calendly link that I have on my page that you can go to, but I'm constantly creating new videos and content. I try to go live at least once a week to introduce meditation into people's lives. So if you're interested and looking to inquire working together, just go there and we can connect. You can send me a direct message as well.
Awesome. Well, it's great talking with you, Tony. I hope people check you out. Go see this guy, Tony Simpson. He's an awesome up and coming life coach. He's really helping people and he's got a lot to offer. So thanks for being on the podcast, and we'll have you back sometime soon.
Thanks, Jeremiah.